So, the diencephalon includes thalamus, epithalamus, metathalamus. The metathalamus is the part which includes lateral and medial geniculate bodies. Epithalamus is the part which includes the pineal gland. These are the parts present just above the hypothalamic sulcus. I hope you remember the hypothalamic sulcus. While teaching you the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere, we have seen that. Okay. Below the hypothalamus, the part includes the hypothalamus, and below the hypothalamus there is the part which is not discussed in detail. All these are the parts of diencephalon. So, the diencephalon, we divide this into the dorsal part and ventral part. The dorsal part includes the thalamus, lateral geniculate bodies, medial geniculate bodies, combinedly named as the metathalamus. The another part, the pineal gland and hypothalamus. If you remember, the structure present in the below the thalamus part, there is the another ventricle there, which is the third ventricle. So, third ventricle is the part of diencephalon, or that is the ventricular cavity of the diencephalon, the boundary of which on each side is formed by thalamus. Next to this, another ventricle is present just posterior to the pons, medulla oblongata, and anterior to the cerebellum. That is the fourth ventricle. If you have gone through the part of medulla and pons, you have seen that posterior to the medulla and pons and anterior to the cerebellum, there is a cavity, and that cavity is the fourth ventricle. Now see here, this is the part of the lateral ventricle, and below this lateral ventricle, this is the third ventricle, and below the third ventricle, this is the fourth ventricle. Seeing the diagram, you can say that lateral ventricle is continued or communicate with the third ventricle through this foramen, that is interventricular foramen, and third ventricle is continued with the fourth ventricle. The communication is continued in the fourth ventricle. The fourth ventricle is again continued with the central canal of the spinal cord or lower part of the medulla. That means all these ventricular cavities, they are communicate with each other. The another important part, the communication, the lateral ventricle communicates with the third ventricle by means of this interventricular foramen, also named as foramen Monro. The third ventricle communicates with the fourth ventricle, and this is called the cerebral aqueduct, which is lying posterior to the or posterior surface of the midbrain. This is also named as the duct of Sylvian, Sylvian. Then the third ventricle continued with the fourth ventricle continued downward with the central canal of the spinal cord and central canal starting from the lower part of medulla, then continued downward to the central canal of spinal cord. So, these are the communication. Besides this, all the ventricles, maybe the lateral, maybe the third, fourth, all these are lined by epithelium, and that epithelium is called ependyma. Now, We will consider one by one. Okay, before this, let's see the important part. What is the function of these cavities? The function of the cavities, they produce the cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, and that CSF is very essential. Why? As we have seen that it is communicating all the parts, also reaching to the central canal, and from the central canal it is coming to the ependymal space, and that ependymal space is present throughout the part of the brain. That means, as it is surrounding the whole part of the brain and spinal cord, it is providing the cushion, and that cushion is having the fluid. So we can say that it is providing the fluid cushion to the brain to protect the brain and the spinal cord from any injury. That is the main function of the CSF. It is providing the fluid cushion around the different parts of the brain, which protects the brain from injury. Second function of it is, it also provides nutrition. It also provides nutrition to the part of the brain and spinal cord. The third function, CSF is also used for investigation point of view. Whenever there is the infection in the brain, the doctor first of all do the thing that they take the CSF from the patient. The fluid, the CSF is aspirated by the commonest method. They introduce the needle in the level of L3 and L4 vertebrae. Not in standing condition. Patient is standing and you are putting the needle. No. Ask the patient to sit in this position, that flex the abdomen. Lying over the table, also ask the patient to flex your body. So as the body will be flexed, the lumbar vertebra will be more exposed. Afterwards, count the vertebrae, and between the L3 and L4 vertebrae, we push the needle and aspirate the CSF, and that CSF is sent for investigation. So that is the third method or function of the CSF. Afterwards, now we start one by one. Take the first one, lateral ventricle. The lateral ventricle, see the uppermost diagram, this one. As you have seen previously, this is the part of the body of the lateral ventricle, or the central part of the lateral ventricle. The central part of the lateral ventricle is giving the extension anteriorly, posteriorly and downward. And these extensions are named as, anterior extension is called anterior horn, present in the frontal lobe. Posterior extension is called posterior horn, present in the occipital lobe, and inferior horn, present in the temporal lobe. So these are the three extensions of the central part. Another thing, now see the first, the central part. You can also see the extension, anterior horn, posterior horn and inferior horn. Now the central part, which is just like a triangular sheet, and this triangular sheet is having the roof, medial wall and floor. I am telling you first the central part. The central part, which is extended antero-posteriorly, elongated fibers which are extending from anterior to the posterior end, and this is having the roof, floor and medial wall. Now see what is the structure forming its roof. Look here, The uppermost part, the inferior surface of corpus callosum, is forming its roof. This one. The medial wall, look here. The medial wall is formed by septum pellucidum. What is the septum pellucidum? Yes, tell me. Partition between the two lateral ventricles. Partition between the two lateral ventricles. That is the septum pellucidum. You have already read this in the medial surface. The diagram of medial surface will be helpful whenever you read next thing. See the diagram of medial surface of the cerebrum. Because as you forget at present, while reading also if you will not see the diagram, the mind will be unnecessarily giving the problem. What is the septum pellucidum? So see that diagram. The septum pellucidum, that is this one, is forming its medial wall, and below the septum pellucidum you are seeing the yellow color structure, that is body of the fornix. What is the fornix? The fibers of hippocampus which are reaching upwards, coming to the cerebrum, and they are forming just a fibers on the medial surface. I will show you the diagram. You forget each and everything. That is the fornix. So fornix is a bundle of fibers which is present on medial surface of the cerebrum, just below the corpus callosum. So these are the structures forming its medial wall. Very simple. Septum pellucidum, body of fornix. Now coming to the floor, this one. The floor is forming, this is the thalamus, this is the caudate nucleus, head of the caudate nucleus. So can we say that the floor is formed from medial to lateral side? On medially it is formed by superior surface of the thalamus. What is this? Whole is the thalamus. So superior surface of the thalamus is forming its medial surface of the floor. Next to it, laterally there is present head of the caudate nucleus. Between these two, you are seeing the two structures, thalamus striate vein and also the striate terminalis. So these things, all these structures, thalamus, superior surface of thalamus, the thalamus striate vein, the striate terminalis and the head of caudate nucleus are forming its floor. No problem? Now after this, now look here. What is this? Body of the fornix. This is superior surface of the thalamus. What happened? You are seeing here the blue color pouch. This pouch. This is the double layer of pia mater. Try to understand, otherwise you will confuse. The double layer of the pia mater, these two layers, are extending between a space between the body of the fornix above and superior surface of the thalamus. So this is reaching to the lateral ventricle. This pouch, what is this pouch? Double layer of the pia mater is forming the pouch. That pouch is passing between the space of body of fornix and superior surface of thalamus and enter into the lateral ventricle. This pouch, look here, here is dotted structure are seen. These dotted structures are the blood vessels. The double layer pia mater, that is this one, this is called tela choroidea, and in the tela choroidea what we find? The blood vessels, the plexus of the blood vessels, and this plexus of blood vessels is named as choroid plexus. That is called choroid plexus. So try to understand. Tela choroidea, that is double layer fold of the pia mater, and lying inside the tela choroidea there is present the blood vessels, including capillaries, also the arteries. and this blood vessel plexus is called choroid plexus. In ventricles, every ventricles you will find the tila choroidi and the choroid plexus. They are responsible, these are the sites which are producing the CSF. So CSF is produced by choroid plexus. Is it clear? The formation of the CSF is from choroid plexus. And what is the choroid plexus? What is the tila choroidi? That I had cleared. After this central part, now we coming to the each horn. The first one, anterior horn. So what is the anterior horn? The anterior part of the central part or the body of the lateral ventricle, it projects anteriorly into the frontal lobe, and that is called anterior horn. Now look, the boundaries of anterior horn roof is formed again by the anterior part of the corpus callosum. The floor, look here, the floor is formed mainly by the head of caudate nucleus. This is the floor. The floor is mainly formed by the head of the caudate nucleus and slightly by the rostrum of the corpus callosum. The medial wall is formed by the again septum pellucidum mainly and partly by the rostrum of the corpus callosum. So this is the boundary of anterior horn. In anterior horn there is the part, it is lying in the frontal lobe. Now next to this, look the posterior horn. The posterior horn is the extension of posterior part of the body of the lateral ventricle, and this extension from posterior part of the body of the lateral ventricle passing into the occipital lobe. It comes into the occipital lobe and its roof, see the roof. Roof is again formed by the posterior part by the fibers, white fibers, and these white fibers are the part of forceps major. What is the forceps major? Gone. The white fibers, it is a type of white fibers coming from splenium part of the fornix. The posterior splenium part of the corpus callosum, from that the white fibers passing into the occipital lobe, and these are named as forceps major. Similarly, the white fibers from genu part or anterior part of the corpus callosum passing into the frontal lobe, those are called forceps minor. So what happens? The fibers from the forceps major, they are extending and covering the posterior horn of the lateral ventricle, and this extension of white fibers is named as tapetum. So what is the tapetum? Tapetum is the extension of forceps major. Tapetum is the extension of forceps major covering the ventricular surface. So the roof of the posterior horn is formed by the tapetum, and this tapetum is separating this cavity of the posterior horn from this optic radiations. If you remember, in the occipital lobe, the sulci are the calcarine sulcus. On each side of the calcarine sulcus, the area number 17, then the area number 18 and 19 are the areas of visual areas. So the tapetum is separating the cavity of posterior horn from this optic radiation. Okay, now look here, its medial wall is very important. The medial wall of posterior horn is showing the two bulbs. The upper one is called the bulb of posterior horn, and this is the lower part is again the calcar avis. On the medial wall, there is the part of the rounded structures, and these rounded structures, first one, the forceps major fibers is forming the swelling on the medial surface, and this swelling is called the bulb of posterior horn. The bulb of posterior horn, and posteriorly, what is this? This is the calcarine sulcus. The calcarine sulcus also projecting the white fibers close to the medial surface of posterior horn, and this projection of white fibers are named as calcar avis. So this is the part of the posterior horn. In posterior horn, you will see the two swellings on its medial surface. The one is the bulb of posterior horn, that is the swelling produced by the white fibers of forceps major. Another is produced by the white fibers projecting by the calcarine sulcus. Now see the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle. The inferior horn of the lateral ventricle is the projection of lateral ventricle from its body part posteriorly. This is extension from its posterior part of the body passing downward and forward, and coming into the temporal lobe, and in the temporal lobe, look this diagram. This is the floor of the inferior horn. The floor of the inferior horn is formed by the hippocampus. The floor of the inferior horn is formed by the hippocampus, and this hippocampus is also covered or also giving the fibers of the hippocampus, which are also reaching up to the surface of ventricles, and this projection fibers from hippocampus covering the ventricular surface are named as alveus. ALVEUS, alveus. These white fibers which are reaching to the ventricular surface, as they comes anteriorly, they are collecting in the masses, and this masses is called fimbria. So what is the fimbria? Fimbria is the aggregation of white fibers of the hippocampus, and this aggregation of the white fibers of hippocampus are named as alveus. ALVEUS, and the alveus are collected anteriorly as a fimbria. Now look its roof. The roof, you will see the structures. One, posteriorly the tapetum, anterior to the tapetum, tail of caudate nucleus, and more anteriorly you are seeing the stria terminalis. So the roof is formed from posterior to anterior side by the tapetum and tail of the caudate nucleus and stria terminalis. All these structures, they are forming its roof. Now the thing is clear or not? Boundaries. The point is this, that you people have forget this. Now see this diagram. Anterior horn, this is the central part of the lateral ventricle, this is the posterior horn, and this is the inferior horn. See this diagram. There is no demarcation between the anterior horn and the central part. Just by the imaginary line, we differentiate that this is the anterior horn, this is the central part. And posteriorly, look here, this is the posterior horn and this is the inferior horn. At the junction of these, there you are seeing the triangular structure that is called the collateral trigone. Now look this part. This is the anterior horn, this is the body, and this is the posterior horn, and this is the inferior horn. And lying between these, look here. What is this? Lateral ventricle. This whole is the lateral ventricle, and see here, it is connecting with the third ventricle. And below the third ventricle, you are seeing the fourth ventricle and the central canal. So like this, it is well connected. The purpose of well connection is to circulate the CSF throughout the complete part of the brain. Now look this part. I am telling you about this diagram. This is the corpus callosum. This corpus callosum is forming the roof of lateral ventricle. What is this? Septum pellucidum. And below the septum pellucidum is the part of lateral ventricle. And this septum pellucidum is extending from inferior surface of corpus callosum to downward this row. This is the fornix. Fornix is the extension from hypothalamus to the cerebrum. The fibers from the part of hippocampus, they are reaching to the cerebrum. This we will teach you again in the limbic system. So this is the fornix, and see here, downward from, this is the genu part of the corpus callosum. The extension downward, this is the called rostrum, which is also taking part in the formation of medial wall of the posterior horn. And look down, the more extension of this rostrum to the optic chiasma, that is this part. This is the lamina terminalis. Okay, this is the lamina terminalis, and this is the optic chiasma. And look downward, this is the hypophysis cerebri or pituitary gland, and this is the pineal gland or mammary gland. Pineal body is here, sorry. This is the mammary gland, and this is the cerebral aqueduct, which is connecting the third ventricle to the part of fourth ventricle. Okay, look here, this is the lateral ventricle, and here this is the thalamus, and below this part, this is the hypothalamic sulcus, this line, this hypothalamic sulcus. So as I have told you in the diencephalon, diencephalon is the part present between cerebrum, this one, and downward the midbrain. So this whole part is the diencephalon. It includes just above the hypothalamic sulcus. This is the ventral part, including the dorsal part. This is including the thalamus, and just below the thalamus there is present the medial geniculate body and lateral geniculate body, and third one which you are seeing here, the pineal body. All these are the part of the dorsal part of the diencephalon. And below the hypothalamic sulcus, that is this one, this is the part of hypothalamus. This is the hypothalamus, and below the hypothalamus there is, the structure is not seen here. So this is the whole part of the diencephalon, and below this part, look here, what is this? Lateral ventricle, and this part is the third ventricle. So third ventricle is the part present between thalamus on this side and thalamus on the another side. So this is the third ventricle. So lateral ventricle communicates with the third ventricle by this opening, that is the interventricular foramen. The another name of this foramen Monro. Now look, this is the third ventricle. So third ventricle, through this cerebral aqueduct, that is this one, it is communicate with the part of the fourth ventricle. Okay, so by this way each ventricles are connected with each other. You can see here also, this is the optic chiasma, these are the optic tract, and what is this? Lateral geniculate body, that is the center for visual, connected with the visual senses, and this is the medial geniculate body, that is auditory pathway, center for the auditory pathway, and this is the part of the midbrain. Lying above the midbrain, look here, that is the posterior perforated substance, and above that you are seeing the mammillary bodies that I have shown you in the DH also, and just lateral to the optic tract, and what is this? The olfactory bulb. The olfactory bulb, as comes down, it divides into the V-shaped part. Between this and the lateral side, medial side of the optic tract, there is another substance that is called anterior perforated substance, that is this one. This is the anterior part. We divide this inferior surface into two divisions by the stem of lateral sulcus. The lateral sulcus stem begins on the inferior surface, you can see here, and as it comes on the superolateral surface, it divides into the three branches: posterior ramus, anterior ramus and ascending ramus.